What's up, guys? We are back and we have Jason. Jason has a cool last name, Kutasi. Yes?
Yes, you got it. You
Yes.
got it.
Boom. He's a legend in the space, got connected through X. But Jason, kick it off. How would you describe who you are, your kind of history in this online world?
I think the craziest part about my history is still the vast majority is in finance, private equity, hedge funds,
Really? I don't know.
structured finance. Yeah. Which I think makes you for a great marketer, right? Like, I think one of the lies that people tell themselves or think or learn in college is like, I'm going to be a marketer. And so you take these marketing courses and you're like, I'm going to work on Chanel and Perrier and, rainbows and hula hoops and stuff. And really the killers are all just data guys. In fact, like when we were hiring, when I first started and we were growing the team, uh, this is like a little bait and switch, but we would put up job posts for financial analysts because I was
For
hiring
media
for
buyers?
guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're in finance, you probably want to make a bunch of money. You probably know how to use a pivot table. You know how to see the data, and I'll train you how to do all the rest. And dude, because like at that time, if you're 23 years old, like people know what affiliate is now at different levels, right? They know UGC and paid traffic and whatever. But at that time, like people didn't know, right? And so I'm like, oh yeah, so like we run as affiliates. Like, what's that? And so like you can't sell the opportunity. So we would hire for that skill set, and then we would we would show them what their upside would be. And yeah, and that was like the game changer. They're like, I'm 25 years old. I'm like, how much? And I'm like, yeah, this is like basically where the
Uncapped.
benchmark
Yeah.
is for minimum. So yeah, you should come work here. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's
legendary. So you did. So it was private equity. I saw on your stuff there was 2 exits, I believe, and then I've
yeah,
seen a lot of stuff that's like meta media buying, and then obviously
yeah.
affiliate, lead gen, like all that world. So like the private equity side, that was what you did for work, and then got into affiliate.
Yeah, so I started so like on the, private equity side, and then I joined a startup that was a digital marketing platform for card linked offers is basically how I would describe it. Fascinating business. In hindsight, it was a terrible business. We were using QR codes for closed loop attribution. So the way that it would work is you would go get like a what's a chain? Like Subway.
Yep.
So I would go get Subway as a client, and then Subway would push out the ad creatives to the franchisees. The franchisees would run ads on Facebook, or we would run it for them. And then you would get a QR code. You'd walk in, they would scan the QR code, and then we could tie it back to the specific ad. And you have to remember that Facebook today is not Facebook then. This is like 2012. We were using a tool called Pocket Math that basically allowed you to connect into Facebook. Funny story about that. We had a barbershop. I can't remember the name. It was like a Floyd's or something. It was like a big chain franchise or franchisee. And I was running this campaign in Denver, and we were geofencing, right? So like it was going within a certain radius, and I was running this campaign, and the campaign performed horribly. So I'm like, dude, this is going to suck. I got so much egg on my face, and I jump on the call with this guy, and I was like, look, so I'm going to make up these numbers, but the intent's the same. I was like, so we spent like $5,000 last week, and we got like 250,000 impressions, but hold on. So you got 250,000 impressions for my barbershop? And I was like, yeah, but like there's a frequency thing. So maybe it was like 125. So I spent $5,000 and 125,000 people saw ads for my barbershop. And I was like, yeah, he's like, best money I ever spent. And I was like, I guess in hindsight, telling this story, I should have gone into brand. And he was like, well, how much can I spend? And I was like, you can't spend that much more because your geofence is too small.
Yeah.
Nobody's driving 20 miles to get a haircut. Yeah, it was crazy. And yeah, and so the other very funny part of that story was Capital One was our largest client. And so we signed up a test with Wells Fargo, and it was a $75,000 test. This is a crazy, like, out of business story. So Capital One had this MSA with us to develop a bunch of tools, but over time they kept developing more shit that was outside of the MSA. So we had also this other tech that like we owned, they didn't. So so I didn't want to have, any sort of backlash because Capital One was like our major client. So I call him up and I was like, hey, by the way, just wanted you to know we signed a small test with Wells Fargo. Capital One goes absolutely fucking apeshit crazy. And they're like, well, like, like we can't have a huge competitor on the same platform and we own all the stuff. And I was like, yeah, you don't own all the stuff, actually. You own this piece and like there's all this other stuff that we own. And so like, what are we going to do about this? And I was like, you could buy us. And they're like, okay, we'll buy you. So we move ahead on getting acquired by Capital One, which is a defensive move for them. So I call up Wells Fargo and I go, hey, so Capital wants to buy us, and so I need to kill the test that we were going to do with you. Mind you, we had done zero work, zero. And they're like, no. I'm like, what do you mean, no? Like, we haven't done anything. Like, just kill it. And they're like, no, like, you owe us this $75,000 test. Meanwhile, they're blocking this deal. So I go back to Wells and I was like, we'll pay you 150. No, we'll pay you 250 for a kill fee. And they go, no. And the reason, by the way, is because the champion at Wells who put this deal together, one, they don't get the 250. It just goes into the coffers, right? But they had stuck their neck out so far to get this test going that they look like a jackass that they get a yes to the test and then we don't execute. So now we're stuck. So we can't sell the business. Wells Fargo's not giving us the money back and we start running out of cash. We let the office lease go. People aren't getting paid. And I'm like, well, we're going out of business. Like, we're fucking done. And everybody on the team was cool because they knew it was a startup. We knew we had this deal. And thankfully, they had confidence in the team that we would be able to push this forward. So one weekend, I think it was, it was a 3-day weekend. I can't remember what it was. And the lead investor for our company goes on a ski trip. And this was out of San Francisco, goes on a ski trip with another buddy who happened to be buddies with the CFO of Wells Fargo. Just a boys' ski trip. So they go up to Tahoe, stay at this guy's house. They're skiing for a couple days. And the investor goes, hey, as he's gotten to know him over a couple days because he didn't know him before. And he's like, hey, by the way, like, I got this problem. I'm the lead investor in this company and we have this deal with Capital One. And the only thing blocking us is a $75,000 thing that you guys won't kill. And he's like, there's no way. He's like, I'm telling you it is. So he gets back to San Francisco on Tuesday, finds out that everything he'd been told was true. They kill the deal on Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember. Docs were baked with Capital One and the deal got signed on Friday. And everybody made money off of this random ass ski trip. Yeah, so
that
crazy.
just shows, right? Like
Dude,
what we were talking about before this, the overlap, the connection is wild.
Yeah. And then so from there, I got introduced to Jason Akatif, which is how like every affiliate, I swear, 50% of them started. And I went to go work there. And
Where was there at that time?
San Diego.
Yeah. Okay.
At A4D.
Yep.
And he's like, look, I'll pay you a couple bucks, do some shit. You're probably going to do another startup. And when you do, you can leave. You can stay here 2 months. You can stay here 2 years. Don't care. Like, figure it out. And I ended up in business development and I learned how the affiliate game worked. And I was like, oh man, like these guys are making a lot of money. So stupid me, I brought in Beverly Hills MD Lifton firm. And I was like, oh, if I write a pre-sale that outperforms what guys are running now, which was all direct, and I gave it to these affiliates, I'm going to make more commission, which was 4% of, let's just call it the margin. So it's literally not much, right? And then Jay goes, you should probably just run your own traffic because that lander that I gave him took it from a 0.7 to a 2.3% conversion rate. The unlock was really interesting, which is a reminder for everybody listening to this call. Make sure you understand the offer. Make sure you watch the VSL. So in that particular offer, the unlock was the VSL talked a lot about a saggy neck. But all the creatives that Hippo was running was these like flappy underarms, which was like, it came up like a little bit for a minute, but everything was around the neck. And so all I did was focus on saggy neck in the advertorial. And then that just gave that lift. And then so I started on Yahoo Gemini, and I'll never forget this moment in my life. So I started running 10-cent desktop clicks on Yahoo Gemini, which is insane. And I lost money, I think, for the first 2 weeks. And then I was meeting Akatif at a bar in Encinitas in San Diego. And we got there like a little bit early, and I'm seated at the end of the bar, kind of right at the corner. And so Jay sits down and he's like, "So how's your campaigns doing?" And I was like, "Well, I made 200 on Thursday, I made 400 today, and that Saturday I would make 800." And it just basically snowballed from there. And then I was the largest advertiser on Yahoo Gemini for 2 years, um, which is a great story too, if you want to hear that one.
Yeah, I would love to. Let's run it. We got time.
Yeah. So I'm running all this traffic on Yahoo, and we were running a blood sugar offer. And one of the guys on my team at this point, I'd hired a couple guys. I trained them all from the ground up, like no experience. Like that's just,
And to clarify, so you're affiliate on all of these, right?
yeah,
Up to this point,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
And just on
yeah,
any network and just like private deal offers plus network offers
yeah,
plus
yeah,
whatever, you're just slanging. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so my phone rings on a Saturday. And let me back up. So one of the guys on my team had this ad that was a black background and a rocks glass with like some whiskey in it. And the headline was "How Diabetics Are Having More Sex." And so it was like the number one ad on Yahoo.com, like homepage. Like you go to Yahoo, that was that ad. But what we knew about policy at the time is your ads fatigue really quick. So when we would basically brute force policy, we would upload like hundreds of ads at a time, and we would wait for them to get approved. We would do 3 instances of every ad. So when that ad dies, you turn it off and you roll to the next one, turn on, roll to the next one. So it's Saturday morning. My phone rings, no caller ID, and I answer it randomly. I don't know. I generally don't do that, but this day I did. And I'm like, "Hello," and he's like, "Hey, this is," I forget his name. Let's call him Tom. And he goes, "Hey, this is Tom from Yahoo." And I was like, "Hey, Tom, thank you so much for calling me, but like, I already have a rep. Like, we run on your platform already." He's like, "No, no, let me tell you how my morning went." And I was like, "Okay." And he tells me he's head of like marketing for Yahoo. He goes, "I woke up this morning and I had a call from Marissa Mayer, who is the CEO of Yahoo, and goes, 'What the fuck is this diabetes ad that's been running in the number one placement on Yahoo for the last 3 days?'" And he's like, "I don't know the ad." And she's like, "Well, then you're not literally looking at our platform." And so what we had done though was with that traffic, as soon as it scaled the first day, I called all the network guys I knew and I was like, "Get me an ED offer." So we swapped it to an ED offer with that ad. We were running volume at the time, so we swapped it. And we made $30,000 in a couple hours before the ad went down on Thursday. We made a couple $1,000, roughly 30,000 a day, Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And she's, so she just is like all over this guy. And then she goes, "Do you know who this is?" And he goes, "No, who is it?" And she goes, "It's Jason Kutasi with this company name." And he's like, "I don't know who they are." And she goes, "They've been the largest advertiser on Yahoo for the last 2 years, and you don't know who the fuck these guys are?" And then I walked him through the story and what we did. I told him exactly what we did, why we do like multiple things and, multiple instances of the ads. And the guy's like, "You just basically fucked my entire weekend. I need you to knock it off. The next time you get a call from me, you will never be able to advertise on Yahoo again." And I was like, "Okay." But like that doesn't stop us, right? And so, yeah, that's how I found out that I was the largest advertiser on Yahoo for 2 years.
That's one way to find out.
Yeah, yeah, it's usually how it goes.
So this is okay. So you go from working with Jason, then you go to your full own, just like me
Yeah,
buying shop, and you guys are running all affiliate. I mean,
all
everything
affiliate.
affiliate, lead gen,
Yeah,
or
so we
just
ran all affiliate, bunch of different shit. So we were running a bunch of lead gen. We were running, I mean, those were the refi days, which like I hope they come back. Not for my own mortgage, but just like, dude, the refi days were the best.
yeah.
And so we did that and we grew pretty big. We were ClickBank's largest advertiser in 2015 and 2016, I think. Could have been 16 and 17, but I think it was 15 and 16. And we were just doing great. And the team grew. I think we were about 20 guys, including like, our bookkeeper and stuff like that. And we were just printing money, and it was fun. Like that office and that team, dude, was the best. It was like a boiler room operation. Guys were making stupid money, working crazy hours. It was like a frat house. I remember one of the guys comes into my office one day. I think I called him in because I was giving up some shit over performance. And he's like, dude, we work like, what did he tell me? He's like, we work like 16 hours a day. I was like, 16 hours a day. He's like, yeah, man, like we get into the office at like 9:30 and we're not going home till 2. I'm like, well, let me explain to you how I view your day. You guys were coming in at 9 to 10, having some breakfast, checking your email, talking about sports, talking about girls. Then you would go to lunch. And then you guys would go to the gym, which was on premise in the office building. We were in a very nice office building. Then you would go to the gym. And then you guys wouldn't even start working till after dinner, after the gym. And he was like, yeah, that's kind of true. I was like, right. So the whole office like clears out, like the law firm next door is gone. And they're just like cranking music from like, 7:30 till, whatever time they went home. And dude, it was great. Dude, it was great. And it was just so fun. Which reminds me of the story. I went on a date years ago to go see Wolf of Wall Street, which was a newish girl that I was dating. And I go see this movie, and I'm sure everybody listening on this podcast is like, oh, Wolf of Wall Street, that movie is fucking great, right? So we walk out of that movie, and I was like, what'd you think? And she goes, that was the worst movie I've ever seen. And I was like, really? She's like, what'd you think? I was like, I think I want to drop you off and go into the office and get to work like right now. And she's like, really? And that's when I realized very quickly that she and I were on completely opposite paths.
Dude, I was in high school when that came out, and I went with my mom,
Yeah.
my sister, and one of my buddies. And like the opening scene where me and my friend were sitting there like, like, what do you do in that situation?
Oh my
It's
God.
great movie. Great movie. You just gotta stop it like 70% of the way through.
Yeah. So so we had that, and then we got into the kids book business.
Yeah, so
And
that's the part I don't know much about in your
yeah,
journey.
yeah. So I used to not tell the full story and the truth, but like there's a good audience for it. Um, so we were running a bunch of VSL traffic, and we were getting a shit ton of rejections and declines. So for anybody who's newer to Facebook in the last couple of years, if you think policy is bad on Facebook, you don't even know. We got banned for like 6 months on Facebook. I mean, we were switching IPs, we were switching users, we were buying new computers, we were doing like everything you could think about to get back on Facebook. And at this time, like guys started leaving, like they couldn't spend.
Yeah.
Right. And so like we started, and I was still paying everybody their salary because I was like, dude, we're going to figure it out. Like we've been banned before, but this was like the ban hammer like you have never had.
What years was this, do you think?
This was in 2017.
Yeah, checks out.
In the beginning of 2017. And so at this time we had a Facebook rep, and this is before the ban happened. And we kept getting these rejections, and I'm about to be very sick, and I'm about to be very sick for like a week, like a really, really bad flu, like not COVID, this is before COVID. And I'm on a call, and my right hand walks in the office, and he's like, you need to get into the conference room right now. And I was like, dude, I'm on a call. He's like, I don't care who you're on with, like hang up and get into the conference room right now. So I'm like, I already have like the sweats. I feel like shit, like whatever. So I end the call. I walk into the conference room, and on the TV in the conference room is the head of Facebook policy yelling at John, just yelling at him. He's like, I watched this 45-minute VSL, and you never told me what the trick was to blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, dude, this is like my fucking nightmare. Well, our rep, in her genius, decided that if we were having all of these issues, she would just reach out to the head of policy on her own to see if he could solve the problem. Well, let me tell you something. If I get a lot of speeding tickets, I do not want to know the chief of police, right? Like that's like the worst person to know. And so we fly out there, we go have dinner with them. And he's like telling us, he's like, look, I know what you're doing. I know it makes money, but it's a bad user experience. We don't have users. You have nobody to market to. And I was like, I kind of get that thesis. And he's like, we like, back to the brand, rainbows and hula hoops and happy things. So I started a kids book business called Puppy Dogs and Ice Cream. because it was the most white hat thing I
That
could
is
think of.
hilarious.
And that idea came from the bar across the street from Facebook's offices after dinner with this guy. And so we did. We made a book. It's funny. I read the book. I have a 1-year-old daughter. I read the book to her about 6 months ago. I hadn't read it in years. It was a fucking terrible book. It was called what was it? Um, From A to Z, A Life of Glee. And it was about Sarah Glee and her alphabet friends, and it rhymes and whatever. It's not a good book. But we launched that book. We sold 4,500 copies in 11 days, which, with an ancillary story, I came to learn that that was more books in 11 days than the average bookstore in the United States sells all year. We ended up losing about $7,500 with allocated overhead. We had no upsells. We were selling the book for like, I think $12. I was paying $6 to have it printed. A book like that, when we got to the end, domestic, is like 80 cents. In China is like 20. So like, I just didn't know. And so I was like, oh, we're on to something. So then we moved into education. So we took all the characters, made workbooks, hired a PhD in education, made amazing content. Like literally amazing. The problem, though, was we introduced objections into the buying decision that I hadn't thought of. So most of our traffic was not moms, it was grandmas. Because grandmas have 3 sets of grandkids, so they buy 3 copies. But mom has 50 kids and buys 1. But then grandma starts going, oh, is this a first grade reader? Is this a second grade reader? Like, which one do I buy for which set of grandkids? We got AOVs up. I think we were running at like $130 or something like that. So it was doing well. But anyway, so we did that. And then we had always made money in the Christian vertical. So we made some Christian books. And I'm embarrassed to say that our first book was Ancient Adventures, 20 Epic Stories from the Bible, that we published with 19 stories. And the companion was a Noah's Ark. And the third companion was the 10 Commandments that had 9 of the 10 Commandments. And we probably ran that for about a year. And a customer reached out to me and was like, you know, your 10 Commandments book has like 9 commandments. And I was like, no. She's like, yeah, it does. Turns out it did. So we had to basically make the 10th commandment and put it in the book as we ran that. Then we got into social emotional, which was a big mover for us, scaled that up, and then we exited to Scholastic about 2 years ago. We were the 10th largest children's book publisher in the United States in our third year. There's a million amazing stories about the book business.
That's
We
great.
had like 3 of the top 5 children's books bestsellers on Amazon over the holidays. I think it was like 1, 2, and 5. Like, we were selling more books than Charlotte's Web. I think we sold more books than Harry Potter. We took a children's book to the New York Times bestseller list of all books, which I didn't even know. The author saw it and called me. If that gives you a sense of the volume that we were
Yeah,
running.
that's crazy. You
Yeah.
got all the stories. You got all the angles.
I have so
So
many.
that's all like leading up to. So those are the 2 exits,
Yeah.
Capital One, Scholastic, and now are you guys still buying? Are you
Yeah,
guys?
so when the deal happened, we effectively had like a very short little earnout. It was like a year. And I was like, which didn't take a lot of time. So you're like, what are we gonna do? So I grabbed my right hand, who was my best media buyer of all time. I trained him from the ground up, like Russian immigrant, like worked for an oligarch in Florida for like a year, moved to San Diego with no money, and got a job working for me. And so me, him, and his right hand started to run an affiliate again. And dude, we'd had like all the old winners, right? So like, we were looking for specific verticals, stood it up, and we started running, we started making money. And then kind of word got out that was like, oh, Kutasi's back. So like, we started getting a bunch of people that were like, hey, will you run traffic for us? So I was like, okay. So we hired some people. And this was an interesting inflection point in my life. So in the middle of last year, I mean, we've only been at this 2 years now. And so in the middle of last year, I was like, we need to flip to agency. And the reason was because I got tired of the highs and lows of affiliate. I think it's a young man's game. I had played it and I was like, I hate waking up and then like, if numbers are great on a Saturday, I'm like, telling my wife, I'm like, we're going like to lunch and we're going to go down to the lake for the day. Like we're going to fucking have a great day. If the numbers are bad, I'm like, I am not leaving the house. I
Mhm.
am diving into everything. I'm going to go build my own campaigns now, like all of that. I got tired of it. And so we made the switch. And some of this is luck. Facebook was really tough at that point. And so the advertisers were struggling for traffic because the affiliates weren't making as much money. So guys who would have said no to agency a year prior were now saying yes. And so that piece was very lucky. And so we flipped to that model. We were 8 people at the end of last year. We're at about, I don't even know where we are now, but I think a little bit over 30 people on the agency side. And there's a whole evolution around that. But yeah, we've been growing the agency. I pulled a statistic about 2 months ago. We turned down, so we do no outbound sales. We turned down 49 advertisers between January and call it July of this year because we didn't have the bandwidth. So
Mm.
now I'm really focused on like, how do you grow and professionalize an agency by not losing the affiliate touch? So
Yeah.
like, we still don't run 24 hours. Like we do clips hourly starting at 10 o'clock Eastern. Like we're just affiliates through that mindset. And we made a lot of mistakes along the way. Um, Mostly in terms of organizational and operational flows. That is probably my core focus today. So like, how do
Yeah.
I push everything that I know down to the team and give them SOPs so they can still think freely and be kind of affiliate-ish, but like you still have some guardrails so you don't do stupid shit.
It's
And here we
crazy.
are.
So who are like the main clients of agency? So it's like affiliate owner style. So it's like the
Yeah. Yep.
owner style, and then you guys, instead of being
Yeah.
direct commissionable, it's
Yeah, so we do a lot of health and beauty, and we're doing a bunch of telemedicine now. And I think one of the hard things was figuring out who your ideal clients are. And I had a bunch of people give me advice, sort of like you're a kid and your mom's like, don't put your finger in the light socket. You're like, Mom,
yeah.
I don't know. And you do it and the shit happens, right? But when we look at clients, there's a couple things that we look for. The first one is I need a client with more than one offer. If you were a brand,
It
you can
just
have more than one hero offer. But what happens is if you have an Apple business and you're selling apples and that's not working, now you can't pay your mortgage, you can't pay your people, you're stressing the fuck out and you're stressing me out. And so like I don't like it. Versus like um we had a client who we launched 2 offers, neither worked, and he was like, look, I know how you run, I like what you're running. So I just need you to hold 2 spots open for me at all times. In fact, I think one of the metrics I'm the most proud of, and this isn't a pitch from the agency, I just think it's really a pitch for like the culture, and I'm proud of what we built. Every single person we have either sunset or who has fired us has referred us more clients. And it's just because like when I think about what our goal is, like our goal is to do our very best, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. There's only
yeah.
3 reasons an offer doesn't work for us. Facebook is being a bitch, your offer sucks, or most importantly, number 3, we're just not the ones to crack it. Our biggest offer we've been running for 2 years, I was the 7th guy in. In fact, we had traffic on an affiliate offer. And I called the guy up and I was like, hey, I need like I heard you have this offer, give me a link. He's like, no. I wouldn't even know. Like I have traffic, I'll split it in. Like we're running as affiliate, I'll take the loss. His offer doesn't work. My old right hand from when we started the book business was even one of the guys who tried it and couldn't make it work. Day one, we flipped it in dollar and dollar, $2 out.
Hmm.
And I think so. It's been 2 years on that offer. 2 Saturdays ago, we spent 100 grand that day. One offer, one guy.
Nice.
And it's just like, yeah. And so like we just worked the shit out of it. So that's
Yeah.
what we're doing today.
Yeah. Do you talk about like what your, not exact, but like fee structure? Like, are you guys usually like upfront build it out and then it's some version of a CPA still, kind of, or is
Yeah,
it?
so you still have goals,
Yeah.
right? And so one of the things that I think helped build my brand over the years, even when we were running affiliate, guys are going to lose their shit over this, but I never asked for pay bumps ever, because the margin that you make as an advertiser is none of my goddamn business. If we can't scale or it's not working, it's up to you to tell me that you need more traffic and you have some room. It's up to you to tell me that, um,
Hmm.
you have to balance your mids. So like cap me at a volume, but like raise that CPA.
Yeah.
And so I just never asked for pay bumps. But with clients now, they'll come in and they still know what their AOV is, right? And so they're like, all right, your target is $100. So like you have to be around $100, right? And day over day it fluctuates, week over week a little bit, but we look at those trend lines. And so we do that. And so we charge a retainer and then we charge a percentage of spend, which is higher on the front end, which is where most of the work is. And then if that thing scales, it drops fairly dramatically.
Yeah.
It makes less money than affiliate. Like
Yeah.
I know it does, but my stress level is
Yeah.
better.
100%.
That's all.
100%. No, yeah.
Is
Dude, I literally I had a tweet on here and I just sent it to someone right before this because we're crushing it today. And I was like,
right.
there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like I am directly emotionally connected to Cash Collected. Like
100%.
there is nothing I could say to just justify any other direction other than like I'm fucking stoked today. I'm having a good day. My power went out like 5 times. This is happening. This. I'm like, I don't care. Like nothing matters. I made a lot of like cash came in today. But yeah, so telemedicine. You said that a couple of times. I've had 2 other people on who talked about this. They've said
Yeah,
CPAs 3x in the last X amount of time.
it
I'm
did.
I'm, I'm hearing $400 right now for
Yeah.
testosterone, Ozempic,
Yep.
whatever, for like $400 CPA. Is that what everyone's seeing?
Yeah. So telemedicine's super interesting. So we got into this as affiliates very early on. So I think this was probably the end of 23 we got into it. And that shit was like lights out. Like
Yeah.
it was big, big numbers, early movers, not a lot of competition, and great partner. And, and we just started scaling it. And it was a great vertical. And then I remember at this one point, like I was keeping a list of every single competitor I saw. And then there was this point where I remember I was adding like 2, 3 people a day
Yeah.
because everybody was standing this thing up and it became super, super crowded. I mean, it's one of the most unique offers because people are problem aware, they're solution aware, and they're efficacy aware. So
Mhm.
it's not like you're selling a supplement made with pixie dust or whatever you put in it, right? Turmeric, black pepper, like whatever it is. And you're like, we have this unique mechanism, so I need to convince you that it works. You don't have that. Everybody knows that it works. And so really it comes down to like how do you approach the marketing for it? And now the compliance around it with Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk basically suing a bunch of guys, like compliance really, really tightened up. Bunch of players went away, and which is good. And
Yeah.
so like there has been some consolidation. So the big guys have gotten bigger, but a lot of affiliates have been struggling to make it work. And then all the small brands basically just went away. And but I'm very bullish on telemedicine. So I'm an investor in James Van Elswig's company,
Yeah.
Dosable.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm very bullish. I just think that around telemedicine, COVID unlocked something and changed the user behavior at the macro level.
Yeah.
And it's so, the example I give is my dad during COVID. My parents are retired. They were living in Scottsdale at the time. And my dad hits me up and he goes, "You ever use DoorDash?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's
It's
like,
happening.
like,
It's happening. Yeah.
by the way, so that's the
Yeah.
thing. When my
Yeah.
father asks me about GPT, and I was like, "Yeah, I use it like every day." And he's like, "Yeah, I put it on my computer. It's pretty cool." And then I got to show him how to use it and whatever. And the DoorDash thing was, I was like, "Yeah, we DoorDash to the office 3 times a week. I think Teresa, my wife, and I do it for dinner like 4 or 5 nights a
Yeah.
week. Like we're a big customer at DoorDash." She's like, "It's really interesting." But yeah,
Like, have you heard of Waymo? Take it
yeah,
to the backseat of the car. Yeah.
yeah. And so I think it really changed user behavior. And I think the
Yeah.
biggest opportunity in telemedicine is the exact same playbook that people use for supplements. So, like, how do you create a unique mechanism with a supplement offer? Well, you take a turmeric and black powder or turmeric and pepper, like in a supplement, you're like, oh, we're going to add a little bit of ginseng because ginseng does this thing. Now you have a unique mechanism. And so I think the guys that are really, really going to crush on telemedicine are the guys who are creating the unique mechanisms with their formulations in a compound pharmacy. and it's great. You can make all sorts of claims and they're substantiated.
Yeah.
So, there's, you have to be within certain rules and stuff. But I'm very, very bullish on that total vertical.
Yeah.
Side story, kids books, the best thing about kids books, when you run kids books, you can say and do whatever the fuck that you want. Like, it's crazy. We went from, all of these policy issues to like, okay, like whatever you want to do. And that was,
In the
we
product.
didn't, yeah.
Yeah. It's
We didn't run
crazy.
or anything, but that was like so refreshing. I had never had that. You didn't
Yeah.
wake up going, I hope my account doesn't go down.
Yeah, I'm way more on like the system and flow of it, more so than like the copy kind of on the offer, but more so. So like I've been looking at everything right now and like supplements and telemedicine and like different acquisition funnels. And like some people are going intake form and then it's like you do
Yeah.
consultation, then you do purchase like either on the call or like post purchase. Some are doing it where you get purchase pre-call, telemedicine call,
Yep.
your supplement thing. There's big players that are starting to do the ClickBank-ish VSL style with direct to cart, which like in the
Yep.
info coaching world, like it's getting very interesting because that's usually what it's been. It's always been like get them in on some info coaching thing and then you can bake all that on the back. But now it's like flipping almost to, I heard of a company that's doing tens a month that is doing the back end of that. So it's like basically taking supplements and all these other physical products and selling info coaching on the back and printing. And I was like, that's an interesting method and model because, like, we're flipped or we're only one. Like, we don't even do the others. So, yeah,
Yep.
there's a ton of questions on here, though, that I want to get into that are like really like good. I usually don't get a lot of questions or ones that are relevant, but these ones are fun.
Cool.
What's the hiring process? Talk to you briefly on that, but you've built out some absolute killers and killers teams in short amounts of time. So you kind of briefly touched on that, but what's your
Yeah.
go-to?
Yeah. So the hiring process is actually a tool that I think I want to build at some point, and I have shown it to many, many people over the years, but I'll walk you through it because we do it a little bit different. Um, we run a job post to a type form. And what that type form does is it has a few very basic questions. And generally, I'm looking for what I call knockout questions. So, like most people, like if you put up a job post on Indeed or LinkedIn, they just hit like apply now. And then you get like all these resumes and you got to read through that. That's fucking bullshit. It's too much work.
Agreed.
So what we do is we run them through a type form and then we take all of those and we use ClickUp as our task management thing. And then I basically drop them into all the columns of the responses. So here's my favorite knockout question. Would you respond to an investor on a weekend? Yes, no, or sometimes. If you put no or sometimes, I don't have to look at another thing that you have. Then we'll ask them, like, what's another one? Where do you live? We never put salaries. So I let them select what salary they want because I'm like, dude, you're out of bounds, or why are you so low? That's also a problem. So I filter it. So the last round of media buyers we hired, I think we got 400 applications. With those two filters, I got it down to 200. Then we looked at time zones because we're all US, so I want some congruency in the time zones. So then I filter by that. Then how good is your written English? 1 to 5, and then I put in the type form. It's like 1, like just terrible. 3 is like I could write a essay. 5 is like I could be an editor. Right. And so I'm literally knocking all of those out. And then they put in their LinkedIn and I go to their LinkedIn. No face or no LinkedIn, or you mistyped your LinkedIn, gone. So then what we do is from there, we move them to a video ask. And this is really interesting. And it's actually, we've been doing it way before AI, but we ask them questions specific to the job. So let's assume I'm hiring a media buyer. What do you do if, and so it's me asking the question, I'll be like, what do you do if your CPMs are too high? Well, if you're a marketer, you can answer that question in about 10 seconds, maybe, right? Like, and by the way, maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't, like those sorts of things. I'm looking for people with confidence, and maybe I disagree with their opinion, but like they've been doing it. The AI piece is really interesting. So the first couple questions, if they're using AI, we can watch them read, right? Like you clearly see them reading.
Yeah.
Or like one guy, I was like, how do you set up your initial testing campaign? Well, it really depends on the objective that you choose. If it's a lead objective, like the dude's fucking reading. He answered 2 questions and dropped, right? And for me, I was like, that just saved me a bunch of time. But the thing that these applicants don't realize is I can see how long it takes between questions because they have the ability to re-record. So they think they figured this out. They're like, oh, I can take the question, then I can go to ChatGPT and I can re-record it. But if I see 10 minutes between each answer, you're using AI, you're out.
Yeah.
And then from there, we move to an interview. We give them a test, which includes a bunch of different things. And then we hire, and we know that 1 out of 3 are good and 1 out of 5 are going to be great. And so you have to be prepared to turn them through really quick. And really it just comes down to training.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm on like the hiring kick right now for every which thing, and it's like I just pass them off. I'm just like I'm top of funnel. I'm just like, use this application, just go here. Use this application, go here. People are like DMing me to follow. I'm like, I don't know, I didn't even look, but
Dude, I haven't seen a single hiring tool that allows you to run those knockouts. Like you can
no,
make a general rule, but
yeah,
something that's interesting, the guys who come in with really high prices, I move those to another list because I'm like, they're like, what do they know? And I still look at the guys who are really expensive personally.
yeah. We rip everyone into rippling now as like our core for what we do, and so it has like okay ATS, but it gets the job done. But next one on here, algo updates and navigating high creative diversity with increase in AI gen creatives.
Very controversial, right? For every marketer out there who says go left, and there's another guy who says go right. For every guy that's like Facebook sucks, there's another guy that's like Facebook's ripping. Like I don't, right? Here's my general approach today. And it would be the same if we did it the same this go around as affiliate as we did on agency, but we really look for staged gain and funnel metrics through each step. So for example, like it used to be before iOS 14, it was like ad purchase. That's all I care about, right? Like it's either making money or not, but like we're in a very different world. So the core metric that we look at today is initiate checkout, which gives you 3 times the data as purchase. So you're more efficient with budget. Most of our campaigns start with 2 headlines, 2 ad texts, and a 4 ad set structure, 3 images, and all of them in typically faces. And the reason that we do that is we're trying to find the angle, I want to remove variables. And yes, static, not video. We do video too, but I'm just talking about you launch a brand new offer. And I'm trying to find the winning headline and the winning ad text grouped by angle, which is at the campaign level. Because after I find, and by the way, I don't care about profit. I care about funnel metrics and percentages. And so now I'm just really looking for those winners. After we find the winning copy, we change the architecture so that it's broken down by image by ad set. And now I'm looking for the winning images. And so now we're spending more, we're pushing more traffic. We'll stand up like a tried and true basic, not VSL, lander. And then we run to that lander, but like you need more traffic until your changes start making sense.
Yeah.
Very interesting statistic, by the way. I haven't posted about this on X. I probably should. But I was looking at some funnel metrics for one of our clients. We have 5 offers. We've run 100,000 conversions this year. I pulled these stats 2 weeks ago. And I looked at all these different funnel metrics from, CPCs, CPMs, lander CTRs, and whatever. And there were a couple things that were interesting. One was, according to ChatGPT, there is 0 correlation between CPC and purchase CPA, which I thought was fascinating because sometimes what happens is the team's like, oh, my CPCs are too high at $1.50. I need to be at 60 cents. But like,
vision works. Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't convert the same. The other metric that's been really interesting that I never took a look at until literally 2 weeks ago, so it's slightly embarrassing, but it's a metric that I'm always going to look at now, was lander CTR to view content event, which is on the offer, the product page. And they never align. But really, most of our clients are on Everflow. When you see a huge discrepancy, that's effectively telling you what the bounce rate is.
Yeah, exactly.
right? And so I'm like, all right, so they clicked on it, but like they weren't on the page long enough to load. And so they bounced. So like it's just not bridging. They are not seeing what they expect to see when they click your advertorial. And then of course, you know, view content to initiate checkout is another metric. Is the offer fatiguing? Is it the advertiser's fault, not our fault? Right? And then initiate checkout to purchase. That's another one that I happen to know affiliates never fucking pay attention to. If you are running with somebody who is on their own mids, make sure you pay attention to that, because I promise you nobody on the advertising side is paying enough attention or as much attention as you are. And on the affiliate side, we had 2 macro instances where they said the mids were fine and the mids were not fine. And I went scorched earth. And yeah, but they just don't pay for it. They're like, oh, the purchase just isn't working.
Yeah.
It's also great when you look at these funnel metrics to understand if you're being scrubbed. So generally people don't scrub in ecom, but they scrub a lot in lead gen, but they never look at the data points along the flow. And so what's crazy is most advertisers, if they're going to scrub, they only scrub at the conversion event, right? But like, if you literally just saw you went from 33% to like
12.
20,
Yeah.
you're not scrubbing the initiate checkout. So if you're an advertiser, please don't do that. At you. But yeah, and I think that's where those metrics really start to matter.
Yeah, 100%. This guy said also, when do you get to the point where you think AI can just generate profitable ads directly in the manager?
I Well, soon-ish, but I think that a lot of that is going to be as a function of luck. So when I think about why some of these strategies are, you see this a lot where it's like, I'm going to upload all this copy and all of these images and whatever, you're trying to hit a target with a shotgun, right?
Yeah.
Rather than with a rifle and sort of readjust. And I also think that one of the things that we see on our team that I constantly hammer, we use a lot of AI, like obviously. But if I gave you the keys to a Ferrari and I'm driving an E-Class Mercedes, but I'm a professional race car driver, who do you think is going to get around the track the fastest?
Yeah.
I'm going to beat you in your Ferrari. And so like, there's this thing that often gets overlooked that like, if you understand the core skill set required for a role, those tools just accelerate you. But a lot of people are leaning on them without the core skill. And so they're praying and praying and they're just hoping they get lucky.
Yeah.
I think soon though, I really do. And then I think there's going to be a lot more weight placed on offer funnel. Like CRO is going to become way, way more important than the ads.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What would you suggest, or how would you suggest getting started in affiliate marketing if you had to start completely from scratch nowadays?
Learn how to be a copywriter.
Copy first?
Copy first. It depends where you are in your life and how much cash you have and stuff like that. But I think like people think about copywriting as like, I'm just this dude who just like writes and stuff. I think that the real copywriter is a salesman.
Yeah.
Who just knows how to type. And so why was like when I'm the best at copywriting out of anything I've ever done. I've still spent most of my career in finance and had an amazing career in finance, a very great career. But when I got into copywriting, I'm like the best at copywriting. And I was like, I found my thing. And I believe the reason is because I was always a good salesman. Right? So if you know how to sell, you're just putting it down on paper. So it depends where you are. If you are cash sensitive, I'm like, go get a job as a copywriter for somebody who runs traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Go. It doesn't have to be full time. You don't even have to quit your full time job. So if somebody hit me up, please don't hit me up. I got too much fucking work today. But like, there's somebody like me who would do this. Hey, can I, for an offer, just submit you pieces of copy and then you run them and then you just like tell me how it did or how it does? Or pitch them like, hey, can I submit copy? If you like the copy, you can just pay me a bounty to buy the copy. And learn that way. but then pay attention to the data on the back end. One of the problems that we found with copywriters generally, there's two. There are very good copywriters out there, many of whom are my friends. Stefan Georgi, George Guy is like obviously a big one, close buddy of mine, invited to my wedding, like first big big offer I ever crushed was his. You make money together with somebody, you're going to be friends for life. But copywriting became a biz op. And so I think there are all these guys that just think, oh, I can just be a copywriter. I'm going to manage somebody's email list and like, I'm just going to make a bunch of money. And like, I don't think that that's true, because most copywriters, it's crazy. When you interview copywriters, the number one thing they say is, I was like, well, how did the copy do? They're like, well, I don't know. The advertiser wouldn't give me the data. I've heard this dozens of times. I'm like, so you called them up and you were like, how did my copy do? Can you give me the metrics? And they're like, no, bullshit, full fucking stop. Like, no way. And the issue with copywriters, at least this is a broad brushstroke statement, and it's probably going to piss a lot of people off, but I do believe it. If I ask a copywriter to bake me a cake and I give you this chocolate, so I'm a copywriter, Ryan, I give you this chocolate cake and I go, what do you think of it? And you give me a binary response. You're like, I don't really like it. You're like, fuck, cake in the trash, and I make you a new cake. But I never asked you. I never looked at the data. I never said, like, was it the filling? Was it the sponge? And you're like, actually, here's what it is. Like, I really don't like dark chocolate. I like milk chocolate, and I really like raspberry. And you had bananas. So I just didn't like it. You're like, easy fix. So a lot of copywriters don't have the iterative skill set.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you need the reps and you need to understand the data.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That's like my least skill set in this whole thing, in this whole game. And every time I'm like, guys, the whole tech and the system and all these things, you said offer, and obviously very important in the economics of it. But when it comes down to it, you can have the ugliest page, you can have a checkout that doesn't work, you can have all the things, and it'll still crush if the copy and like the actual psychology of it is correct.
Dude,
And
I used to say we could sell kids' books with blank pages on the inside, which I believe to be true.
yes.
Shitty product, but like great marketing.
Mm-hmm. What's the next one on here? These are gold. Besides AI, building relationships with advertisers and the advertising platform, what other overlooked practices could affiliates benefit from in modern state of the industry? So basically, what are the blind spots that prevent affiliates from growing?
Hold on one second. I have a
Okay.
call right now, but let me
Oh,
push
you're
it. Let me just
Okay.
text the guy.
Oh, we can pop too. Sorry, we apped before
Uh,
this. We went to.
I love this stuff.
Only a couple more.
Let me get 15 minutes. Sorry.
You're
Repeat the question.
Basically, yeah, blind spots that prevent affiliates from growing, because besides AI, building relationships and with advertisers and the advertising platform, what other overlooked practices could affiliates benefit from in the modern state of the industry?
The broad one is don't be a fucking affiliate. And so what I mean by that is, don't try to fuck the advertiser all the time. And I've heard, my wife works at DFO. She runs a team of affiliate managers. I hear the stories. Guys are doing 5 sales a day. They're asking for pay bumps. My favorite is when they'll ask for like $100 CPA and like the pay in's like 80 or something. They're like, where are these? Well, dude, my friend's getting it or whatever. And they're like, you're being scrubbed, motherfucker. I think it comes down to treat people the way that you would like to be treated. Years ago, I was going to go into a deal with somebody, and James Van Alsway was like, I don't think you should do that deal. And I was like, why? And he's like, the guy doesn't have a great reputation. And I was like, yeah, but I'm going to be the face of it. And he goes, but you have no reputation. And I was like, I don't mean no reputation. He's like, I mean, you don't have a bad reputation. Like, you're a good dude. Like, some of my best friends have a bad rap with some advertisers. And so like, I think that when you're an affiliate, don't be out to fuck the advertiser. And by the way, if the advertiser fucks you, fuck them back. So there are countless advertisers we've had over the years running affiliate that took our shit and ran it internal. I stopped that day. Like literally. One of them was bills.com. I remember that. I had this winning headline. You still see it today. It was forget your social security if you own a home. And it took that, and everybody ripped it, and Bills was running internal. And I was like, what are you doing? And I stopped. And there's several different advertisers who've done that. And I'm like, all right, well, you're not going to have anything else to rip. And I also think when there's trust, you get transparency, and it just allows you to scale more. Our clients, even when we were affiliates, they would share AOVs because they know that I don't ask for pay bumps. And they're like, yeah, this one has a higher AOV. We're looking like this. What are your refunds? Like, because I was an operator too. So like I can put on the operator hat and I can walk them through at least how I'm thinking about it or how I would do it. A common one that comes up is like, we need to buy more inventory. Like, are you guys going to scale or not? I'm like, I don't fucking know, but let me share with you how we did our demand planning. And they're like, what if we run out? I was like, cap us. Like, you're going to be there the day after, and so will we. I don't need to make all my money today. And that's really, really playing the long game. And it didn't pay off in my early years, but it pays off now.
Yeah. Yeah. Proper planning, long-term view on it.
Yeah.
That was a good one. How does he view creating offers specific for ads and testing strategy to validate if there's opportunity? Does he view creating offers specific for ads? So basically, I assume that's meaning you already have good ads and now you're going to create offers built around ads that have already been proven.
Yeah. I I don't I don't think of it that way. So one of the most common questions we get, like particularly at conferences, like, I'll build you any offer you want. What do you want? And the first thing I think of is if I wanted to do that, I would just build my own offer. I have the skill set to do it, but frankly, I don't want the distraction and stuff. But like, it's never around an ad. It's typically around a unique mechanism, right? And when I think about ads, most of our marketing is blind marketing. So when people buy a product, they're buying a product because they're looking for a solution, and they're generally product brand agnostic, right? And so if you have a headache and I was like, hey, by the way, like if you buy this thing, your headache goes away, you're not like, what's the name of the brand? Like you might be, but if you were convinced enough through that funnel that this product works, you're going to buy that. So people are buying solutions, and people are even more so are buying future state. Slight derivative, but I think it's a good story. I see this comment a lot, this problem a lot in copy. When you're writing copy, people get to like, they really focus on like the lead and the pain point, and then they get to a little bit of the, the benefits, and then they generally skip the future state. And when you think about like, why are you taking a diet pill? Diet pills are always the easiest. And it's like, oh, because I want to lose weight. Nah, that's not why. Like people don't take diet pills to lose weight. They take diet pills so they feel comfortable being in a bikini by the pool, that they can take their shirt off. So the girls are more attracted to them. So you're not the third wheel girl at the bar that never gets hit on. That's why they take a diet pill. And so when you think about sort of that problem solution, you have to lean into that future state, which is the real reason. So why do you want to make a lot of money? And it's like, well, I want to buy a Ferrari. You're like, cool. Why do you want to buy a Ferrari? Are you a big car guy? That exists, right? Like that, but that's a small segment. It's like losing weight to be healthy. That exists, small segment. The person wants to buy the Ferrari because they want status. Why do they want status? Because they want status against their friends. They want to get a certain type of woman. Like it's that, right?
Yeah.
And people often skip that last step, which is, in my opinion, by far the most important.
It makes a lot of sense. This is a fun one. I would like to know his opinion on the future of newsletter businesses. I don't know if you have background there, but not like Agora, but more like Morning Brew, Daily Skim, specifically in terms of acquisition. Is there any value in building it to hopefully get acquired at this point, just overall newsletters?
So I went to a conference that this guy Jordan Hall threw, and as everybody on this call probably does, you have a million friends on Facebook you've had forever and you have no idea who they are. Well, Jordan was one of those guys. And he threw a conference in Austin. And I was like, I'll go. It's in my backyard. If I don't like it, I can leave. And what I liked about that conference was I walked in and I didn't know basically anybody there. I think I knew 3 guys. And it was a lot of info. Ryan, you probably know a lot of the guys there. But it was like a lot of info stuff. But there was a guy that got up and gave a presentation on the newsletter business. I walked out of there and I was like, I need to start a fucking newsletter. I have a buddy of mine, Austin Wright, who just started a newsletter too, and he exited a company. Solid dude, great newsletter. And now he's like monetizing it. And he has like a content engine machine and stuff like that. He's very active on Twitter. Um, and dude, it's working. He's putting out great content. I read it once a week, and when it's good, I ping him directly. And I was like, dude, this was great. Like, this was a good one. There is definitely future there. Like, at the end of the day, all you're selling is value. So if you can sell value and can continue to sell value, um, there's a lot of money to be made there. I was talking to the guys from Avi at a conference in New York last year, and they have a podcast, and they obviously have Avi and whatever. They're one of the talking heads of D2C. And I got their numbers on their newsletter business, and they told me how much money they were making and how it was growing, and all of these things. Fascinating, actually. And there was another friend that we both had who also had a newsletter with it was like 5 times the subscriber list. Same metrics, but Avi's audience was way more valuable. So they made a lot more money. And so at the end of the day, focus on who your audience is and provide value. And I think you can make a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, the economics on that business is crazy.
Yeah, really, really good.
Really, really good. This was fantastic. I am we're running up on our time. You got to call end of the questions or the initial batch of questions. There's more, but this is great. We got to
Yeah.
do some stuff. We got to do
Dude, I would do it again. I love this. I love this kind of stuff. You'll have to send me the rest of the questions. Oh, they're all on Twitter, right?
Yeah, exactly. People are just asking them on and then now they're like dropping them in these different locations, so I'm getting lost in it. But the original post is the core ones that we just asked.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks
This
for
is
having me,
great.
man. Your content has been amazing. I'm a huge fan. Your name
Brute
comes up,
force, purely brute force.
dude. I have to tell you, your name comes up a lot in circles that you don't know about, like it did at dinner. Like your name comes up a lot, and so I think what you're doing is amazing and
I
very
appreciate that.
valuable for everybody who listens.
Just trying to build some cool stuff. So we'll definitely jam about some of these things offline because I got some questions and some interesting opportunities, I think, based on what you're talking about. So cool. All right, we'll talk soon.